Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We were at where?
Swamiji, what page? What page are you?
Verse number 9, page 438.
Thank you.
Chapter 7, verse 9. So, we are looking at Ajnana Khandana, chapter 7, verse number 9 or 10, wherever we start. Just looking at number 9. Wherever there is ignorance, it tends to cover everything. This is the very nature of ignorance. Because the rule is that wherever there is ignorance, the substratum, the pure knowledge, tends to get covered by it in the form of non-knowledge. So, at a very empirical level, the darkness covers all the forms. You can't see anything. Even though they are there, you are not able to see it. Exactly the same way, ignorance does not allow us to recognize that we are the essential self, the light principle, that we are of the nature of light. See? This is the nature of ignorance. Nothing can be done about it. This is how it is. Understand it. Don't fight with it. Why it is happening to me? I am this. The question that you are asking, why it is happening to me, itself is expression of ignorance. Uska koi uttar, there is no answer to it. If that is so, then why is the Atma Tattva, pure consciousness, not becoming ignorant? Ignorance, being the object of knowledge, is inert. Therefore, if it were to cover and influence the support, the pure consciousness, then the latter also should be inert. If it is covering the consciousness, then the consciousness also should become inert. If ignorance is covering all the names and forms, ignorance is inert, all the names and form are inert. If it is covering the consciousness, so how come it is not able to influence it? How come it is not able to why we should look at it? Then why the consciousness is not influenced by ignorance? And if nature of ignorance is inertness, then why the consciousness is not inert? This is the question that is being put forward. If the support and the supported are both inert, then who will know whom? But is that you can ask that question, because we have freedom to ask all questions. But we want to ask questions and we want to get an answer from someone. If you have the imagination to ask a question, then we should have the courage to assess our life, to assess our experience, and come to the conclusion also. Why you want someone else to answer? You are ignorant. You find out whether you are ignorant or not. I am ignorant. Who said I am ignorant? I. Who is this I? I am a consciousness. Are you dead, inert? Or are you alive, conscious? I am alive. Ah. So these statements don't work there. This whole problem comes because we are not subjective in our approach. We are just looking at the information, we are reading the explanation, and only trying to work it out in our mind. We cannot work it out in our mind. You have to be subjective. Right now, the sadhana is taking place. Right now, the words, from the words, we have to come back to being the self. If that disposition is not taken, then confusion will remain. So here when he says, if the, so nothing, ignorance cannot exist by itself. A dead person doesn't know that he's dead. Simple as that. A sleeping person doesn't know that he's sleeping. Maybe death is more strong. Sleeping, a sleeping person doesn't know he's sleeping. As an individual, I'm talking. But there is someone who knows. There is someone who knows that waking, dream, and sleep are going on. Without that substratum, without that foundation, these three cannot come and go. These three are only expressions of the mind. And mind cannot function without the substratum. So here when Swamiji says that if the support and the supported are both inert, then who will know whom? If you say consciousness is also inert because it is covered by ignorance, because ignorance is of the nature of inertness, then who? Apply it on yourself. Your ignorance is in your mind. Mind is functioning because of the self. Oh, but I don't know myself right now as the infinite. So if the mind is functioning with inertness, because all thoughts are inert, then why consciousness is not inert? But yes, the word consciousness may be inert. We have seen that in the previous chapters, last two chapters. But do you feel, do you experience yourself as inert or conscious right now? This approach has to be brought about. So you are the support of everything. You are the support of your mind. Who is you? The conscious self. So don't accept yourself as a inert thought in your mind, which comes and goes. Today's meditation, I comes, I goes. I thought comes, I thought goes, with every thought. But the true I, it never comes and goes. And that is your experience right now. That you are not coming and going. Thoughts are coming and going. Sounds are coming and going. Pictures are coming and going. So If we take consciousness also to be inert, then there is no discussion possible. There is no conclusion possible. Then who will know whom? You are knowing and you are not knowing. The one who is knowing and not knowing is other than what is known and not known. No. Be that unaffected principle. Here we are talking about the substratum. We are not talking about the subject object. We are talking about the substratum. Subject object is in the mind. It's an expression of ignorance. It's an expression of phenomena. Substratum is not an expression of phenomena. But we get confused because of unclarity, because of the clogginess of our mind, too much thinking. And what is the thinking about? The world, past, future, imaginations, survival. So mind is not able to distinguish between. Mind is not able to distinguish between the temporary I and the permanent I. Because it is not in the purview of the mind to know the permanent I. It is not possible. Mind can never come to know the permanent I. Intellect can suss that there is something which is permanent. Aprapya manasa saha. But mind cannot comprehend it. So here the question comes, are we the mind in essence or are we the consciousness in essence? Because we have utilized mind for knowing everything, we think that coming to know the consciousness is also possible through the mind. It is not possible. We have to take the position as to flip. I am of the nature of knowledge in essence, in whose presence the mind is coming and going. How is mind coming and going? Waking, dream, deep sleep. Thought, no thought. Manifestation, unmanifestation. Breath, no breath. So the position has to flip. Then you are in the poise. If you are in the mind, you can never be in poise. All you can do in the mind is come into balance, which is not get affected by opposite thoughts. That is called equipoise. Equipoise is of the mind. But that also you know, that mind is very peace, mind is at calm, mind is cool and collected, mind is in poise today, it is not disturbed. That also you know. Who knows? Find that out. So we have not learned or made ourselves available to the true self that we are. Therefore, knowledge cannot be covered by ignorance. Our problem with knowledge is we think knowledge is mind knowledge, thought knowledge. That is not the definition of Upanishads, nor is it the definition given in the Gita. For stupid people like us, initially we say, yes, move from tamas to rajas, rajas to sattva. Tamas means ignorance, rajas means dynamism, sattva means knowledge. So move from ignorance to knowledge. The student feels very good that he's doing something. But after we come to sattva, how do we go beyond the three? How do we go beyond the triputi? How do we go beyond the three gunas? How do we go beyond the three gunas which are continuously changing. You cannot remain in sattva all the time. Then you have to jump out of the three gunas. You have to take the position. The gunas are only of the in the phenomena. I am the master of the phenomena. Without master in the sense, without me, without my presence as I am, these three gunas cannot come and go. Tamo guna, deep sleep. Rajo guna, dream. Sattva guna, waking. These three cannot happen without me. They are not happening in. They are happening for someone. Who is that? That's me. Who is knowing it? That's me. But if you remain as a waker and try to know, you cannot come to know. Therefore, knowledge cannot be covered by ignorance. Remember, Sat Chit Anand, Chit means knowledge. The nature of the self itself is knowledge. And this knowledge is unstruck knowledge. This knowledge is thought-free knowledge. So when we use these words, I think therefore I am, or I am therefore thinking happens. So are you the self because you think you are the self? No. You are the self, and in your presence, thoughts are coming and going. This is your knowledge right now. That you are the conscious self. If there are no thoughts in your mind, do you cease to be? No, you continue to be. That is of the self is self-knowledge. Self is of the nature of knowledge. Continuously existing. And when we become conscious of our own existence, continuous existence, when this dawns, bliss ensues. But when we are seeking the self only through the mind, there is every possibility of fall. Because you are thinking, you don't know what other thoughts are lurking in the subconscious. Which desire will come and hijack you. So, if you understand what I am saying, then there will be clarity. Otherwise, life will teach us anyway. It has brought us till here. It will take us further. Thode aur dhakke, some more mishaps. How a scriptural statement about the presence of ignorance in the Atma is taken up and analyzed. Tari Shastra Mata Aise Ze Atma Chi Ajnana Ase Tene Chi To Givase Ashrozari. The scriptures declare that the consciousness is the substratum of ignorance and gets covered by it. The scriptures say that the ignorance is existing on two supports. Ignorance is existing on two supports. What are those two supports? One is Vishaya Ashraya. On one hand, see, the two supports are cause and effect. Expression of ignorance is cause and effect. Expression of ignorance is non-comprehension, comprehension and misapprehension. Expression of ignorance is delusion and illusion. Delusion is forgetfulness of self. Illusion is acceptance of the variety. So here he says, Vishaya Ashraya. So how does this ignorance exist on two supports? One is the Vishaya is the objects. So the objective support. The substratum of the Vishaya, the objects known, the world of names and forms which are constantly changing, is the unchanging Satvastu Brahman. But the changing world is perceived because of ignorance. Thus, ignorance exists in the substratum of Brahman at the level of the objects. Again, here, same problem. This is, जब बुद्धि ठिकाने नहीं होती तो ऐसे ही होता है. What is our problem? Our problem is we are not able to be the self, and to be the self unless and until this is not resolved. What? Jeev, Jagat, Ishwar are one. Till the time this is not resolved, that the Jiva, that means the individual that I am, is of the nature of conscious self. Ishvara, he is also of the nature of conscious self. The truth, the Atma, the Paramatma, whichever way you, words don't matter, self I am using. And the Jagat, Jagat means all the variety of things that you are seeing, hearing, perceiving in this world. That entire world is also in essence nothing but the conscious self. Just as the world of waves is nothing but water. So the individual wave is contemplating. What is the conscious self for the wave? Its essence. What is its essence? Water. But what is it thinking about itself as? I am a wave. How? When will it realize the water? Until and unless it does not resolve that I am of the nature of water, the ocean, the totality in which all the waves are existing, because it can only think of totality, it cannot think of absolute. Absolute is not a thing to think. At a relative level, only is individuality and totality. Absolute where? So that totality, that ocean, that Ishvara, for that wave, the Ishvara is the ocean. It is also nothing but water. And what is the world for the waves? All the waves. All the waves are nothing but water. Till this is not resolved, the wave cannot realize that it is water. Now apply it on yourself. That you are the individual. What are you? Are you the inert individual or the conscious individual? I am the conscious individual. Do you think the Ishvara is inert or conscious? Oh, he is also conscious. Oh, so consciousness, same. Do you see him? No. Do you see him as separate to you? Yes, what to do? We go to temples, we go to pilgrimages. And do you see the world? The good, bad, and the ugly? Everything is there in this world with all its tastes and forms and variety and where do we get lost in? We get lost in the names and forms. We get lost in the inertness. But what is that inertness? Where is it? What is the essence of the entire variety of the world? Not just the earth world, the total universe. Your total world, if I want to use the word, your total world is waking, dream, and deep sleep. But we'll just take the waking world. Where is on what is the total world existing? What is its essence? That existence is itself, the substratum itself is existence. That existence is the self. But do we have the vision to see the world as the divine self? Forget divine self also. Come one level down. Do we have the vision to see the world as an expression of the divine Lord, Ishvara? All waves are in the ocean. Are you able to see the whole world as that the Lord is pervading the whole creation? This is the penultimate step. See? We have to raise our consciousness to this. It is ever raised, it is infinite, it's absolute. But as an individual, we are stuck somewhere. And that being stuck is the Maya, the ignorance, the incomplete knowledge about ourselves, incomplete knowledge about the Ishvara, incomplete knowledge about the Jagat. So, what is the complete knowledge about the three? That there is a substratum, and that substratum, just like Jeev Jagat Ishwar, the single wave, the world of waves, and the ocean are nothing but water. Come to that realization about yourself right here and now. Right here and now. Not knowing this, we fall into the embrace of the ignorance. So, and that ignorance, and this is our state right now. What is that? Under the spell of ignorance, we have taken the world to be real, therefore we are looking for, trying to survive in this world. How do we survive? By collecting more and more. What do we collect? Money, investments, relationships, networking, memories. We are collecting, thinking by this collection of all this, I will be safe. Man, you are infinite in nature. And where is your attention? Your attention is on survival. That idea that I have to survive itself is an expression of ignorance. And that idea of survival brings fear. To abate that fear, then we do all this. Create relationships, create attachments. It is not possible. But we are under the spell of ignorance, we are doing it. So here when it says that the substratum of the objective world or objects known, the world of names and forms which are constantly changing, is the unchanging Satvastu Brahman. So even though the Satvastu is there, the existence is the common denominator behind the changing world. Are we able to suss it? Are we able to, we want to look at the existence behind the wall, behind the light, behind the, you can't see the electricity, you can only see the effect of electricity, isn't it? Where will you check Brahman? Are you going to search for, is the wave going to search for water behind other waves? Is it possible for an individual wave to come to realize the water behind all other waves or ocean? How foolish that approach is. Then where will it find? It has to dive into itself and accept, isn't it? That it is of the nature of water. This is the mistake we are making. We are looking everywhere. Left, right, top, bottom. And we lose the plot. So the entire world of creation, the changing creation is necessarily changing. Either you look at the daily, your waking state, it is continuously changing. But for you, it seems is the same mountain, the Dandenongs are still the same, the sun is still the same, the moon is still the same, the stars every night are still the same. No, they are not the same. They have already shifted position. You are not aware of it, that's your stupidity. Your body has changed, you are not aware of it, that's your stupidity. You have become 8 hours older. You are not accepting it. Everything is changing. Creation means change. Then where is this feeling that I'm yesterday also and I'm today also? Where is this continuity being appropriated to the changing world? From where is this happening? Because essentially we are the continuous principle, but we have forgotten and we have taken that aspect of continuity, the constancy, and we are superimposing it on the objects. What is the first object? Body, breath, mind, intellect. We think we are the same person. Then once we have taken this equipment to be the same, then those eyes see, oh, it's the same world. Those ears say, it's the same sound. Is the same feeling. But where is it coming from? Is it coming from outside or is it coming from the source? Non-recognition of this is ignorance. Because everything will undo itself if you think in this manner. But don't get afraid at that time, because you will not be able to hold on to anything. Because there is nothing to hold on to. इसी का मजा है. Thus, ignorance exists on the substratum of Brahman. So, if the expression of ignorance is the various changing names and forms, the various changing names and forms cannot express without the substratum. That substratum is Brahman. That substratum is the absolute, the pure consciousness. Now, don't look for pure consciousness out there in the world. I am that, in essence. And the second point, so first was Vishaya Ashraya. When we take the support of the objects, that is the expression of, that is one of the supports of ignorance. It takes the support of objects. Are you taking support of objects? No, I am not. Are you taking support of your body? I am the body. Gone. Are you taking support of your breath? But Swamiji, I cannot live without breath. Gone. It will go one day. So this objective orientation itself is how the ignorance is expressing. Who are you? The unchanging. While everything is going on, what is the unchanging? Now the second, I have already answered the second one, I think. It says Atma Ashraya or Vishayi Ashraya, subjective support. So for ignorance, there is an objective support and there is a subjective support. So what is the subjective support? The ignorance exists on the substratum of the same consciousness at the levels of the knower who is experiencing the ignorance. Well, how does now be ready for the next shock of your life? Expression of ignorance is subject-object. The bifurcation of consciousness into subject and object as if. Where is subject-object happening? I'm asking. Where is subject-object taking place?
In the mind, Swami.
In the mind.
Correct. Where is the idea of ignorance? In the mind. So we have taken ourselves to be that fictitious I in place of the original. And whenever we say I'm ignorant, it's always I'm ignorant about something, isn't it? Nobody says, even if you say I'm ignorant, it is in your mind you are ignorant of something, of someone, of some place, of some object, of some idea, of what is behind you. You are ignorant. Or if we say I am ignorant, means I am buddhu, I don't understand. Again, object is understanding. Why? We have taken the position in the mind as the subject who doesn't know some object, therefore that person says I am ignorant. Understand? So ignorance has two supports. One is the objective support and the other is the subjective support. Maya, in other words, if you want to put it, Maya makes the pure consciousness appear as a play between subject and object. From Maya's point of view, it is a game going on. But when you forget that it is a game, you become serious of the subject object, forgetting the substratum. Then you have chosen to be under the spell of ignorance. All you have to do is, without changing anything outside, shift the attention to the constant principle. Be the constant principle. Be the constant principle. Therefore, ignorance does exist because it is operating on two substratum. Two substrata means not the two supports. And what are those supports? The aham and the idam. And this is not only at your level, this is from totality also, if you can digest it. We are being ruthless here. Ishwar and Prakriti, that one Parabrahma Paramatma or Paramashiva alone has expressed as Purusha and Prakriti, isn't it? That Purusha or Shiva Shakti, that Shiva Shakti alone as if is expressing as Brahma, Saraswati, Vishnu, Lakshmi and Shiva Parvati. Just like in you are the same one, but as if expressing as a person, man, you are expressing as father and Shakti. The potentiality is expressing what is the object there? The object is the children. The subject is the husband. The object is the wife. So, where are these subject object? They are changing. First nature is it is changing. The objects are changing. The subject, is it changing? It seems to be changing because father is not the husband. Husband is not the role of the father and the role of the son or the role of the husband. They are all different. But I feel I am the same person. That feel that I am the same person is coming from the essence, from the constancy. But it is being superimposed on the roles. But what is the nature of the roles? They are ephemeral, they are coming and going, they are not permanent. Subject and object are not permanent. They keep changing. And subject and object is the expression of the Maya, ignorance, incomplete knowledge, non comprehension, delusion. So, when we say delusion, illusion, delusion is forgetfulness, illusion is projection. What is the projection? Ahamidam. Non comprehension of the reality leads to misapprehension. Misapprehension is taking the duality to be real. Now, apply it on yourself, all these things. Non acceptance that I am the continuous self illumined, self knowing, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarupa self, non apprehension, self forgetfulness. It's leading to what? I am the mind. And what is the mind? A play between subject and object, isn't it? The one who knows it, he will say it is the Leela of the Paramatma going on, Leela of the self going on. The one who doesn't know it, he is into survival mode. How do I come out of it? And how do I come out of it? That this is too much data, too many objects to deal with. Subject is one, but objects too many to deal with. To get a respite from all the objective onslaught, which is coming to you without asking. Because of wrong orientation towards the objects, you need to go to sleep every night to refresh. But that is also an object. We have to replace all these by taking the position that we are that pristine, immaculate, continuous, conscious, ever existing, blissful self. And this entire is my play. There is no place for ignorance. There is no place for objectivity. They are just phenomenal. They are just, everything is made up of me, the self alone. This realization cannot come by thinking. You have to undo the thinking. And that undoing of thinking must happen by contemplation of who I am in essence, without force, without willfulness. Initially, you may invoke that I am thinking. Your discrimination is required, but a brute force is not required. In this way, the scriptural statements become the basis for an argument, Arthavad, all because the attention is only on the ignorance. This doubt is now analyzed. तभी थोड़ा सा intellectual gymnastics is going to take place. Arthavad is nothing but that, arguments, discussions. Split the hair of this hair and then that hair and try to find some and we'll see where it all leads to. And this hair splitting, intellectualizing, analysis, assessment is only because
Ignorance.
Only because
Ignorance also.
only because, yes, ignorance, but only because we have taken, again, when we use the word ignorance, immediately it should go. Ignorance is subject object, duality. We have taken duality to be real. In duality, there are no lasting answers to be found. In this world, you can never come to a conclusion because world is ever changing. My God, Swamiji. So we are reading all these words and read all these scriptures. They are part of this world, and there are no lasting answers. There is no constant answer, no permanent conclusion to be found in this. No. That's why our scriptures say you have to leave us after maturing. Where? Maturing not कहीं पे अपने अंदर. In the world, there are no lasting answers. In the self, no answers are required because there are no questions. In the world, there will be only questions. What you found answer to today, tomorrow the world has changed. Again, some question will come. Again, some event will happen. Again, something else will happen. If yesterday was the Second World War, after that came the famine or whatever, then in the 90s or 90s there was drought. Now there is El Nina. Now it is only water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. What solutions have they found? Have they found solution to the forest fires? No. Have they found a solution to the drought? No. Have they found the solution to the incessant rain? No. Have they, simple things, have they found any solution to any disease permanently till today? No. With what mind frame are we functioning in this world? Still thinking about the world and still thinking that this world will give us answers. It cannot give us answers. Every 10 years the dose changes, the medicine changes, and then they say, oh, we are sorry that we gave you that medicine, it was faulty, this, that. There are no lasting answers in this changing world, because by the time you have found an answer to something, the world has already changed. Lage raho phir se. The game goes on. But this urge to find the lasting answer is coming from because you are the constant one in essence, but you are not accepting that. You are accepting yourself as the body, breath, mind, intellect, but you are the essential consciousness. You are superimposing that constancy of the consciousness on the reflection. But that reflection is getting destroyed by sattva, rajas, tamas, waking, dream, deep sleep. It takes the position of waker, dreamer, sleeper, and you want to be constant and you don't have control over waking, dream, deep sleep. How? Look at the entanglement you have created for yourself in your mind. And you want to know the self. तरी अनुठिता दुजे अज्ञान आहे बीजे ते तेची आथी हे बुझे कोण येथ. Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, without duality, the ignorance remains in the seed form. Who knows this seed of ignorance? This is our analysis. Now we are coming to Vedanta. Without duality, the ignorance remains in the seed form. Where is duality? Duality is perceived in the waking state. Duality is perceived in the dream state also. But in deep sleep, there is no duality. Everything, all objectivity, all the duality has gone back to the subject and object, which were appearing as waker and waking world, dreamer and dream experience, have gone back to their source, back to the seed form, back to the unmanifest form. Who knows that there is no waking, there is no dream? You know you went to sleep, isn't it? Not while sleeping, but you know that sleep was. Who knows the absence of duality? So, is our existence depending on the expression of duality, or is our existence that I am independent of manifestation of duality or non-manifestation of duality? You understanding what we are saying? Is your existence, it's a subjective approach, it's not an intellectual approach. You have to apply on yourself right now. Otherwise, again, you will make yourself into a concept. You are not a concept. You as consciousness are existing because of the duality or independent of duality expression or independent of non-expression of duality. समझ रहे हो? Now this point is taken here. In the deep sleep state, ignorance is in the form of seed, and this ignorance is known by us. Someone is knowing that I had a good sleep. That fellow is not a part of the subject-object relationship. That person who is the witness of the three states coming and going, he is not caught up in he is not entangled in the three states. He is independent of the three states. That is his natural position. That is your natural position right now also, because when I say to you that waking, dream and deep sleep have come and gone from childhood till today, you say yes. So that is your position, but you don't live as that. The moment some objects come or children come or business idea comes, immediately we forget, or immediately the pain comes or the hunger comes. We forget our true position. We accept the duality as real. We accept the object as the real. Here the object, when the pain comes, body is real. So in the deep sleep, ignorance is in the form of seed, and the ignorance is known by us. We all know there is absence. We all know between the two thoughts there is no thought. We all know that every night we are going to sleep where there is no thought. We know. We know the ignorance. There is someone without whom ignorance cannot express. Is known by us. Because in deep sleep there is the experience that I know nothing, it means that the pure knowledge is the reality, without which the ignorance cannot be established. That pure knowledge is the reality, and that pure knowledge, which is the reality, I am in essence. Don't forget to conclude the sentence. Who will know the ignorance in deep sleep unless there is pure consciousness or pure knowledge? Therefore, only the Atma Tattva is the reality. Atma Tattva, the self, is the all-knowing principle. There is, you cannot have, there is Atma Tattva and there is ignorance. Then you will have to, self is also existing, ignorance is also existing. You cannot have two existences. Existence is only one, and that is the self. It's like saying the water in wave one and the water in the ocean are separate, or water in the different waves is separate water. No, it is the same water. But to recognize the sameness, to recognize how one alone is all that there is, you have to take that position of water rather than take the position of wave or ocean. To take the position of water, first you have to withdraw your attention from all the waves. Because as long as you keep thinking about other waves, I am a wave will continue to persist. So first withdraw. That's what all the sadhana is. Withdraw your senses, withdraw your mind. And then do what? Put your attention to the ocean. And then do what? The ocean will reveal from within that Sahasra Shirsha Purusha, I alone am expressing in and through all the waves. Because our attention was on the waves and we withdrew from the wave. As long as our approach is objective, you leave the small objective and take the big objective, which is the Ishvara, the ocean. This is Bhakti Marg. Here we are coming not only to the ocean, we are going beyond it. Now we are coming to the water. You can either take the long route or you can take the direct route. Both is okay. Nothing wrong. Who will know the ignorance in deep sleep unless there is pure consciousness or pure knowledge? So we may be dead to the world. That is the expression. We are dead to the world when we are sleeping. Means we are not aware of the world when we are in deep sleep. We are sleeping. The word sleeping itself says sleeping is not you're asleep to ignorance. You are asleep to objectivity. You're asleep to the variety. You're asleep to the thoughts in the mind. You're asleep to the duality in the mind. But someone knows. Who is that? I. Self is. And that one who knows, call it Atma, call it reality, call it pure consciousness, call it Ishvara, all okay. But there is someone which is not other than you. Because the statement is not made by anyone else. Statement is made by you. I know that I had a good sleep. You can't ask someone, hey, Nagaraj, can you tell me if I had a good sleep? You can't say that. Ask anyone. Continuing the analysis. Ajnana tava apanata yate जडपणे नेणे निरुते आणि प्रमाण प्रमाणाते होत आहे. Ignorance owing to its inertness cannot know itself. How can the means of knowledge, praman, know itself as an object of knowledge? This is a very important point. How can mind come to know the mind? We can mind the mind, but mind cannot come to know the mind. Because what is mind made up of? Subject and object, duality, right? What is the nature of subject and object? Changing. Whatever is changing is inert. Inert means that which is not conscious. How can that which is not conscious come to know? Not possible. Are you is your experience about yourself as I am inert or I am conscious? It is conscious. But Swamiji, the word consciousness is also in the mind. Okay, if the word consciousness is not there in the mind, are you alive or not? Are you conscious or not? We are given that awareness, we are given that wakefulness, we are given we are given that being, the name, or all these words that we are using. Yes, they are in the mind, no doubt. That's why the previous chapter was words devalued. That's why the previous chapter was Satchidananda cannot define the truth. They are only utilized by the mind to counteract. Sat is used to counteract asat, chit to counteract achit, anand to counteract dukkham, misery. So it's only to counteract, checkmate. Just as the day, where there is a day, automatically night comes. If there is up, automatically down comes. If there is inside, automatically outside comes. So the moment you say Sat, Asat also comes. Existence, non-existence. Knowledge, ignorance. Joy, misery. So why are we using the word Satchidanand? Only because we are so obsessed with the other. We are so obsessed with non-existent things. Existence is continuous by nature. But what are we obsessed with? Objects of the world which are continuously changing. That means they are not permanently existing. So we are obsessed with that which is not continuously existing. So we have to use the word Sat, that remain attentive about the constant. Find out what is constantly existing. Then we are obsessed with the thoughts and the minds and the intellectual conclusions, concepts, ideas, imaginations, notions, scriptures also. But they are also words continuously changing in the mind. Whatever is continuously changing is inert. It's an expression of ignorance. Who are you? The knowledge. So you are given the word Chit. You be focused, be attentive of the constant knowledge that is independent of thought knowledge, which is independent of thought knowledge. So understand how we have come to this chapter, that we are negating, we are coming to a conclusion there is nothing called ignorance also. It's not a cup of tea for anyone, this topic. If you have not gone through the beginning, you can enjoy, you can थोड़े मजे ले सकते हो, but to gel, by grace it can happen to anyone. Why should I Why should we say no? But it will gel better if we have understood. I've just given you in 3-4 lines, I've explained what the previous chapter was. We spent 2 years, I think, on those. See? Because no word can reach the self. Self cannot be called self also, because the moment you say self, there is not self. Therefore, Buddha Bhagavan, he said, there is nothing. Because his attention was on the mind, and he came to realize that mind cannot come to know the truth. The difference between him and Adi Shankaracharya was, he was not looking at the truth, approaching the truth from the mind. He took the position as the mind was collapsing. He says, who knows the mind is collapsing? Who knows? There is a continuous knower in spite of manifestation of the mind or the unmanifestation of the mind. Buddha Bhagavan took the world to be there, but he perfected. And that's why, because he took the world to be there, so compassion towards the world. Compassion, compassion, compassion. Shankaracharya, he didn't give validity to the world at all. He said, that which exists is only the self. That is Vedanta. That is the Upanishad. That is the Parabrahma Paramatma. So and that I am. Yeah, don't forget, that I am. Jnaneshwara Maharaj, he is the amalgamation of the two. These were two opposing. One is approaching the truth from the mind and coming to realize aprapya manasasaha. There is nothing, cannot be known. I understand everything, but I cannot know it. Mind, not I, mind cannot know it. It cannot be spoken of. Adi Shankaracharya upped it. He said, no, I will tell you how to speak about it. The bhashya and this and that, and yes, hey, it is not the unknowable. You cannot say it is the unknowable, because you are that in essence. How can you be the unknowable? Don't you know you are? And even though he first initially rejected the world as Maya and Mithya, the world is a phenomena, the world is coming and going, all that is true in the initial analysis. But even when we come from the Lord Ishvara's point of view, we say everything, the material cause of the whole creation is the divinity, the Lord. So which means the world is divine. If you come to that point, still your mind will be at calm, peace, content. Why? No desires. Everything is divine. Divine is ever complete. But coming to the Ishvara is not equal to coming to Parabrahma Paramatma. So we have to. So here Kashmiri Shaivism comes, or Ishvara Advayavad. This is one way of approach. That phenomena is, we are rejecting in Adi Shankaracharya Bhashya, we are rejecting the phenomena, coming to realize the self, and from the self point of view, the self alone is. Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, yes, the self alone is, but the phenomena, you did not create it, nobody created the phenomena is happening. And the approach is not rejecting the phenomena, but having come to looking at it from the Parabrahma Paramatma point of view, from Paramashiva point of view. Shiva himself, Paramashiva himself has become Shiva and Shakti. So Shiva and Shakti are also divine. Shiva Shakti became the Triputi, the Brahma Vishnu Mahesh, they are also divine. They all come together with all the gods came about, they are also divine. And the five elements came about, they are also divine. Five elements combined together and presented this varied creation, that is also divine. From water's point of view, everything is divine. So from Jnaneshwar Maharaj point of view, nothing needs to be rejected. Just recognize the essence and your vision will transform permanently. Because then it is not I am only this body. No, then I have transcended from being an individual to the infinite or the total. Parabrahma, Paramatma, nobody can know, but they are. But if you're thinking of a journey, the maximum journey you can make is up to the Ishvara, Shiva Shakti. When sadhana is done only in the relative, it is not done in the absolute. Absolute is complete. The rising and the falling is possible only in the relative. What is the fall? Individuality. What is the rising? Ishvarahood. But remember, Ishvara knows he is Parabrahma, he is the Paramashiva. Come to that point. Come to that point. In this life, it is possible. And for that purpose, this great analysis is going on. Only for those who can digest it. It's not for everyone. It's PhD का भी बाप है ये. क्योंकि nothing to hold on, no conclusion. You are the conclusion to yourself. And that you are the conclusion to yourself is being presented by the words, such thick book. And that those words said in one chapter, words have to be devalued. देखो मजा मजा कितना मजा है. Ignorance owing to its inertness cannot know itself. How can the means of knowledge, pramana, know itself as an object of knowledge? Very simple. The eyes cannot know the eyes. Can the eyes see the eyes? No. Can the mind know the mind? Not possible. If you want, try. The logic that was presented by the opponent was based on two lines of thought. A, that ignorance is existing in the form of a seed in deep sleep state and therefore ignorance is. The first standpoint was ignorance is available in the seed form in the deep sleep state, therefore ignorance exists. Everyone experiences deep sleep state. Everyone is experiencing the ignorance of the world in deep sleep state where no variety is available, objectivity is available, therefore ignorance is. Second, In the waking and the dream state, ignorance is supported by the substratum and therefore ignorance is. We only say, I am ignorant, now my ignorance is gone. So the fact that you said that I am ignorant, that means ignorance exists. This is where majority of the minds get confused. I have already explained this point, but I am sure you must have forgotten, so I will repeat again. It is very subtle. The waking and the dream state themselves are expressions of ignorance. That ignorance alone is expressing as the waker and what the subject, and what is the object? The waking world. In dream, the ignorance alone is expressing as the dreamer, and what is the object? Dream world. Remember, we told ignorance expresses as subject and object. So these are the two subjects and the corresponding objects. Because they are expressing, because waking, dream and deep sleep are expressing, therefore ignorance is. That is what the student is saying. The argumentator. Argument का कोई end नहीं है. To this, Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, if this is your argument, does it mean that in deep sleep, when in seed form, ignorance knows itself? When the ignorance is in the seed form, do you mean to say that ignorance is knowing ignorance? अब ये मास्टर ही पूछ सकता है, ऐसे हमको तो दिमाग में ऐसे थॉट भी नहीं आता है ना. So when the world has become unmanifest in deep sleep, you mean to say, where has the world gone back to its cause? What is that cause? Ignorance. Do you mean to say ignorance is knowing ignorance? Is there a sleeper knowing the sleep? There is a waker knowing the waking world. There is a dreamer knowing the dream world. Is there a sleeper knowing the sleep? Is there a sleeper? Is there a knower? If you say it is ignorance, sleep state is ignorance, is there a ignorant person knowing the ignorance? Is there a knower of ignorance in that sense? Is ignorance knowing itself? Or is there someone else knowing it? That is the question that is putting forward to the student. If this is your argument, does it mean that in deep sleep, when in seed form, ignorance knows itself? Does ignorance come to know itself that I am ignorant now? That I have come back to the zero? That I have come back from all objectivity, I have withdrawn to zero? That is ignorance. I know nothing. In deep sleep, is there any knowledge taking place? What is your experience? You have to apply it on yourself. Last night when you were sleeping, did you know you were sleeping? This is not possible because ignorance is inert. Straight away, simple rule. Ignorance is inert. Inert means, again, what is the definition of inert? That which is temporarily appearing for some time, and that ignorance then became waking and dream. Dream also appears only for some time. Waking also appears only for some time, and that we have taken to be real and making our life difficult. Because ignorance is inert, it would be like saying that one chair knows another chair. two inert objects cannot know each other. The knower has to be conscious. Now, naturally, if one thought cannot know the other thought, hmm, see, one thought is created by subject and object. There is a subject thought called I, there is a I thought, and I thought exists, coexists with thought of something. Husband cannot, oh, I am independent husband without a wife. There's nothing called an independent husband without a wife. It husband always coexists with wife. Father coexists with children. Inside coexists with outside. The word totality coexists with individuality. East coexists with west, north with south, light with darkness. You understanding? They are all coexisting. But both that which coexists is inert. Because it is changing. Waker with the waking world is changing. Dreamer with the dream world is changing. Husband with reference to wife, next moment, father, again changing with reference to children. That which is changing cannot be of the nature of knowledge. All problems, all challenges, all survival is for these idiots, which father, mother, daughter, sister, waker, dreamer. Dreamer doesn't, in the dream you may be wanting to survive, but every day new dreamer, new world, new family, new body. But in waking, we are again wanting to survive. But everything is changed. We don't have the eye to see it. Develop that. This is not possible because ignorance is inert. It would be like saying that one chair knows another chair. Two inert objects cannot know each other. The knower has to be conscious. There has to be a conscious principle who knows that the waking, dream and deep sleep, here we are talking about deep sleep state, the state of ignorance, it has been known by someone. Inert object cannot come to know inert object. Knowledge can only be possible when one is conscious. Oh, who is that? Question is, we'll ask that later. Who is that consciousness? Now, first understand, to know something, one has to be conscious. A thought cannot know a thought. This phone cannot come to know the laptop. I can know the laptop. Why? I am conscious. I can know the body. Why? I am conscious. I can know the breath. Why? I am conscious. I can know the thoughts. Why? I am conscious. I can know the waking, dream, deep sleep coming and going. Why? Because I am the consciousness. Then what are all these? They are inert because they come and go. But we have put all our eggs in the basket of that which comes and goes. And therefore we are miserable. For example, the eyes can see everything except themselves. I told you in the beginning only, the eyes cannot see themselves. Therefore, mind also cannot see itself, cannot know itself at thought level. Because mind is nothing but thoughts. So, for example, the eyes cannot see everything else except themselves. The means of knowledge, the pramana, can illumine the objects of knowledge, all the colors and forms, but they cannot see themselves. The eyes can, this is the praman, this is the means of knowledge. It can illuminate the whole world, but the eyes cannot illuminate themselves. The eyes cannot see themselves. The mind can think about everything, but mind cannot think about itself. The moment it starts, gone. Mind collapses. And that is why this analysis is there. Mind is made up of aham and idam, subject and object. And then when you have taken care of the objects in this manner, then what is left? Subject is left. Oh, then who am I? Tuck. Either you'll go realize or you'll go to sleep. If you go to sleep, then read this chapter. And again come back. Be the self. They cannot, but the eyes cannot see themselves. The same pramana itself cannot be a prameya, and also, and therefore, the transaction of knowledge. The same pramana, meaning the means of knowledge, cannot be the object of knowledge. The means of knowledge cannot be the object of knowledge. If our object of knowledge is self, and the means is the mind, and the mind is made up of the self, material called the self, mind cannot know the self. But if you keep self as an idea in the mind as a thought, फिर तो और भी बड़ा प्रॉब्लम हो गया. तो ये this entanglement of thoughts, you have to think in this manner. We are coming to the principles of how the mind functions. We'll stop here for today. To talk of ignorance existing and ignorance knowing itself is meaningless. Verse 13 onwards we'll see in our next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Just sit quietly for a few moments. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.